A two-state solution is off the table and Israel belongs to the Jews. These are the words of Governor Ron DeSantis at the recent Israeli-American Council Summit. Have a watch of his words.
Pathetic that our nation's oldest and largest political party feels the need to cater to its very own pro-Hamas caucus. If they were in my party, I'd want them to be kicked out of our Republican Party. What you're seeing on these college campuses, no question, is a lot of virulent anti-Semitism, a lot of hate. When you say from the river to the sea, you are chanting in favor of a second Holocaust. That's what that means. Now, I do think some of these students are just ignorant. I don't think they understand even what they're talking about. You hear some of them talking about end the occupation of Palestine. And I just think they need a little history lesson. There has never been a Palestinian Arab state. Prior to the First World War, you had hundreds of years of occupation under the Ottoman Empire. It was not a Palestinian Arab state. Then you had the British Mandate for Palestine. Then you had a partition plan from the UN, Jewish state and Arab state. The Jews accepted the state and founded Israel. The Arabs rejected the state and they went to war to try to eradicate Israel, and they lost. And they went to war again, and they lost in 67 and 73 and throughout the intifadas. And so, no, that land historically has no stronger connection than any group of people except the Jewish people. It goes back thousands of years. Read your Bible. When you say USA, it's important for us in the United States to be very clear-eyed about what it means to be a strong ally of the State of Israel, and that means we should not embrace the canard of a two-state solution. That is not seeking to have peace. They are seeking that as a stepping stone to the destruction of the Jewish state. And that is not acceptable. Now, the U.S. president that recognized the modern Jewish state, Harry Truman, once remarked that he had faith in Israel before it was established. He knew it was based on the love of freedom, which has been the guiding star of the Jewish people since the days of Moses. He went on to note that Israel had a glorious future before it, not just as a sovereign nation, but as an embodiment of the great ideals of our civilization. And you can't find a sharper contrast in any region of the world than you do between the light that's reflected by Israeli democracy and the darkness that's reflected by so many of the pathologies that run rampant throughout the Middle East. October 7th revealed that evil exists in this world. But I'll tell you this, ultimately the truth will prevail. Ultimately, good will triumph over evil. God bless you all. God bless the state of Israel. God bless these United States of America. And God bless the free state of Florida. Thank you.
Wow. It's interesting, isn't it? Something has shifted post-October 7th, both in the minds of many Jews, but also Israelis and supporters of Israel around the world. For decades, we've danced to the tune of two-state solution, seeking compromise. And something changed after October 7th, where we've always known or thought, many of us have thought, that the whole Palestinian cause has really just been a cynical ploy to get rid of Israel. But some of us haven't had the confidence or the courage to say it or the absolute clarity about it. And as DeSantis said, which many of us have now got that clarity to realise, a two-state solution, he just said these words, would be simply a stepping stone to want to destroy Israel. And that's not a theory. There is evidence, strong evidence for that, which is what happened in Gaza. Israel disengaged. It was a mini two-state solution, and she got terrorism voted in for, by the way, by the people, and we still have mass support for what happened on October 7th among Arabs of Gaza and Judea and Samaria. And they got terrorism and violence and genocidal intent on October 7th. And so it is simply common sense to say that a two-state solution is not workable, because the Arab leadership and general populace have shown that they're not actually interested in having that in sovereignty for the sake of having self-determination. If they were, this would have been dealt with decades ago. Their only concern is with wiping out the Jewish state. They consider themselves Arabs, part of the Arab world, and Arabs have dozens of other states, and there's even more Muslim states in the world. But he spoke earlier about the fact that Israel is Jewish, and it's Jewish land. And you know what? You can't really have an opposition to the two-state solution without also holding this other part, this other piece of the puzzle in your hand at the same time. To say that not just that we have seen that the Palestinian cause is cynical, but also the reason why the Jewish people have the right to this territory, and indeed Judea and Samaria and Gaza too, and whatever solution and practical policy they're going to need to implement in order to make that the case and make sure they maintain sovereignty in these areas. I don't know how they'll do that. There's been all kinds of policy proposals that are starting to be put forward. But the key point, the root of all this, is that this land belongs to the Jewish people. There isn't even a competing nationalist narrative. When some people say, well, Ron DeSantis said there's never been a Palestinian state. Well, maybe nationalism emerged later and now they want their nation state. You know, Italian nationalism emerged, didn't happen overnight, and it took time. Just because it didn't happen as early as other nationalisms doesn't mean it doesn't have the right to be there. To which I'd say, perhaps. But they've shown themselves, they've told us, the Arab leaders have said, from the inception of the Palestinian concept, that they're simply in it just to destroy the Jews. From the times of Hajj Amin al-Husseini, who said he'd be happy to be part of southern Syria, that there is no distinct Palestinian national identity, which is what he told the Peel Commission in the 1930s. To Arafat, born in Egypt, to all other Palestinian leaders, to Hamas even, to Zia Hossein of the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. They've all told us it's not really genuine, typical self-determination and nationalism. They just want to destroy the Jewish state. And by the way, even if there was a strong competing narrative, ultimately, what has to ground us, above all other considerations, in the Jewish people's right to this land is not international law, which does justify it. It's not even history, which justified it. It's not even indigeneity. It's the fact that we turn to our Bible, to our Torah, where God himself granted the land as an eternal inheritance. And for those who say, well, you can't bring God into the equation, God is just about the only thing that is respected in the Middle East, as well as uncompromising strength. But that doesn't win people over. So I think we've got to start talking in that tone. And it's amazing people like DeSantis respect that. He said, read your Bible. He knows it. So much of the world know this. They know that the Jewish people were given the land of Israel by the God of Israel. And so we as Jews need to develop that confidence to articulate to the world what much of the world actually already know. And even the haters know. They just don't like it. But if we make it clear to them that we know it and we believe it and we're going to fight for it all the way, in the end, we will prevail. There's no question about it.
Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.